Ooh, what's up, everybody? My name is OMG WTF LOL to WBRB. Welcome back to more Total Extreme Wrestling 2016, not 2020. And yes, I have my reasons for the moment. We are here booking the WWE in the year 2002. It is season 2 of the Invasion series, and we are in the brand era. It is Friday night, and it is time for Nitro. I know in the last Nitro video I had mentioned that this was going to be the paper or the go home show, but alas, that wasn't true. This though is, yes indeed, the go home show for Starrcade. Starrcade is going to be this Sunday. I'm not sure how I'm going to do Sunday Night Heat. I think the way I'm going to run it is I'm going to have maybe like Sunday Night Heat air on Wednesday this week, and it'll be like, well, this was supposed to air last Sunday, but MTV was doing like the MTV Music Awards or some shit like that, so we pushed it back to here on Wednesday, and this is the go home show for the Sunday Night Heat Super Show. I think that's how I'm going to end up doing that. But anyway, Starrcade is going to be getting uploaded here hopefully here soon. Usually when it's pay-per-view week, I tend to try to get the episodes up and out pretty quickly because I'm usually excited to get to the pay-per-view. So, yeah. Let's stop talking here. Let's just go ahead and run the show. I've got nothing else really to talk about, shan't we? So we do have a couple of pre-show matches here. This did pretty good, actually. We started off with a 37D- rating here in an abysmal match, apparently. Showtime, Elix Skipper defeating Matt Bentley. Who the fuck is Matt Bentley? Those of you who watch Zack Ryder's YouTube channel, I forgot the name of the show. Fig Hunt, the Super Gabby. You know who Super Gabby is. Anyone who watches the Zack Ryder YouTube channel thing, they know who Super Gabby is. And one of the running gags on there is he has like a signed Matt Bentley TNA figure, and Zack Ryder always asks him, who's Matt Bentley? And Super Gabby's like, I don't know who the fuck that guy is. Who the fuck is Matt Bentley? It's funny. So I when I saw Matt Bentley in the local scene, I knew I just had to get him on the show. And you know what? I mean, it says he had a 10 in-ring performance, so obviously Elix Skipper carried this, but I don't know, maybe we should sign Matt Bentley. I mean, he is apparently related to Shawn Michaels. At least that's what his bio said. I know I've seen some of his matches back in TNA, but I couldn't like tell you what it was. I just know it was a name in TNA I've heard. Either way, though, Elix Skipper gets the victory over Matt Bentley in 5 minutes 58. That's what it looks like. 58 seconds. I can't really see. The 8s and the 6 look so alike. Anyway, with the new school, whatever the hell that is. Is that like an old school, but he maybe hits like a hurricanrana with it? I don't know. I don't know Elix Skipper's moves. I just know he was that one guy in like TNA. At least I think. Don't quote me. I think he's that one guy in TNA who did like the move everyone talks about, where he's like on the cage and he does like he walks the on top of the cage and then hits the hurricanrana on the one guy. I didn't explain that well at all. The announcing quality definitely helped this match. Stevie Ray, for once, not holding something back. Elix Skipper with the 41, as we mentioned. Matt Bentley with a 10. Moving on, we have a 44 solid D rating here. Pre-show bout that had terrible wrestling to it and a non-existent crowd heat. Goldust goes over the Navajo Warrior, one of our developmental stars. I don't know if we call them stars or talents. Developmental talent. Call them what you want. Anyway, he got the victory in 8 minutes 15 seconds with the Bulldog. Announcing quality, of course, helped this out. The great performance of Goldust really stood out, so Goldust is definitely getting up there. Goldust with an in-ring performance of a 61. Navajo Warrior with a 17. No worker improvements. Moving on, we have a 66C+ rating here. We have just a pre-show. For a second, I thought I was booking Sunday Night Heat because I saw Steven Richards. But we just have a pre-show angle here. The right 2 sensor kind of coming up from Sunday Night Heat, making their way over to Nitro here tonight. doing their just typical right to censor promo, and that leads to the tag team champions Chris Kanyon and Hugh Morris coming out because why not? They're on the show, like Goldust is also on the show, but they're not in matches. So I like to give those people who are kind of on the show a match as well. I don't know. That's just the way I look at it. So we go to that match, which I believe is our pre-show main event. A good way to get the right to censor and test them out. And actually, you know what? They did really good, in my opinion. Like, they held their own. Like, in my opinion, they could be ready to be called up at any moment. Anyway, a decent pre-show matchup here. Kanyon and Hugh Morris go over the right to censor in 13 minutes and 21 seconds. After Kanyon defeated Russ Haas with the Flatliner. 75B-. Damn, that might be their best match to date. And that's crazy because these two teams have fought before when when Russ and Charlie were just the Haas brothers in our developmental territory. And they definitely did not have that good of a match, but they're killing it tonight. In terms of in-ring work, Kanyon was head and shoulders above everybody else. Canyon's killing it. I'm just going to say it right now. He's proven to me that he may be ready for a singles push. Russ Haas and Stevie Richards, of course, have that great chemistry that always helps them out. Stevie Ray was pretty weak for this match. Couldn't keep up with the right to censor. That's not a good sign, Stevie Ray. Bobby Heenan could, I think. Russ Haas had a 61, better than his brother, who had a 59 in-ring performance. Hugh Morris with a 71. Kanyon with an 86. Hugh Morris is improving his performance. Good for him. Good for him. Alright, I'm going to take a drink of our sponsor of the video, who is not our sponsor, but hey, if you want to be the sponsor and give me some money, I ain't going to complain. Thank you to Monster Energy. That'll hydrate you, right? What a good drink. Good thing we don't have like Hulk Hogan or freaking Vince McMahon on this show. Alright. So Nitro opens with a 95 A-star rating. It feels good that the backstage morale is going up now. 95 A-star rating here. Nitro opens with Shane McMahon and co. standing in the ring. The lights are dimmed and Shane takes to the mic. And he says, before we start the show tonight, I wanted to open with an apology. Booker, you know, I've tried calling you, man. I've had Stevie Ray try to get in touch with you. You haven't shown up to work tonight. So I think it's obvious that you don't want to talk. And that's okay, man. But I do. So I hope you're watching, because from the bottom of my heart, man, I'm sorry. And so is everyone else here, Scott included. I'd like to imagine there's like maybe a zoom in on Scott Steiner's face, like, you know, like, whatever, like, I don't give a damn. I'm just asking that you reach out, man. Let's talk. Let's figure this out. I'll do whatever I can to make it up to you, man. And then that's when we hear the woo! And Ric Flair's music interrupts Shane McMahon. Out comes the Nature Boy alongside his longtime rival, Sting. But it seems like they're just, you know, they're not happy with the way Shane McMahon's been running things, as we're well aware of now. And it seems like that mutual love for the old WCW has brought these longtime rivals together over the past couple of weeks. I'd imagine maybe Dusty Rhodes. It seems like the love of the old WCW rivals, baby. It looks like they brought them back together, and now they're best friends. I'm telling you, baby. Ric Flair and Sting, best friends. I seen them hanging out the other day at the cafe. Watch it. Anyway. And Ric Flair comes out. You know, it's just so heartwarming. Ain't it, Stinger? Oh, boo-hoo, Shane. You gonna cry? I'm horrible with the Ric Flair impersonation, by the way. I'm no Jay Lethal. Or maybe Booker T. That's a whole... It's starting to see right through you and your lies, Shane McMahon. That's when Mr. Perfect steps up, interrupts, and he says, Shut it! Shut your damn mouth, Flair. Week after week, you come out here with your complaints. And despite Mr. McMahon doing... Why did I do the whole... I did like the whole promo over again. Note to self, next time erase the original promo. Despite Mr. McMahon doing everything he can for you, all you do is bitch and moan. Mr. McMahon is out here pouring his heart out for his best friend, my good friend Booker T. And you come out here and mock him? Have you no heart? Way to spell no heart that way. Good job, Steve. Good job. Kurt, I don't know how many zeros Shane put in your paycheck, but I bet it's enough to make Hulk Hogan jealous with the way you're kissing his ass. You ain't friends with Booker T. I am too. We hang out all the time. We both share a love and passion for rap music. But my personal life don't matter to you. Fact is, I'm tired of you interrupting Mr. McMahon, and I'm gonna do something about it. Oh, you're gonna do something about it, huh? Don't you mock me. Need I remind you I've sent your ass packing once before, and if given the chance, I'd do it again. What say you, Rick? You and me one more time. And when I win, you give up your general manager position. Now Ric Flair, he's pissed. He feels challenged. Flair's brought up the past, or excuse me, Perfect's brought up the past of, well, I don't know. I'm sure all of you noticed. I hope a lot of you noticed. Mr. Perfect was, I guess, the reason and storyline that Ric Flair had originally left the WWF back in the day. He lost a loser leaves the WWF match, and that, of course, led to Ric Flair returning the WCW. But that's kind of what I sent your ass packing once before. So Flair's pissed off. He ain't taking none of this. Of course, Flair's not one to back off from a challenge. And in classic Ric Flair, he's red in the face. He's ripping off his tie, taking off his shirt. Is that what you want? Huh? And now Sting finally steps in. Whoa, Rick, calm down. Think this through first. Step aside, Stinger. Let the Nature Boy blow up and explode. It's always worked so well for him in the past, right? You know what, Kurt? I'll fight you. What's that? You heard me. You want to fight? Let's go. Right here, right now. But let's make a deal. You want a match with Rick? Well, if you win, then this Sunday, as long as Rick is fine with it, you've got that match with the stipulation that if you win, he gives up being GM. That sound fair, Rick? I don't give a damn. Win or lose, I'll face him. Get to the point, Sting. What's the point? All right, calm down. If I win tonight, then Rick gets a match with Shane McMahon this Sunday, and whoever wins gains ownership of Nitro. That's when Shane McMahon finally steps in. Okay. That's not gonna happen. No, come on, Mr. McMahon. I can do this. Trust me. Kurt, if you lose, trust me, Mr. McMahon. Shane McMahon nodding his head. All right, Stinger. You're on. Sting's got that big smile on his face. You hear that, Rick? It's showtime. Woo! I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I'm not dedicated enough. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for those of you. Woo! There you go. That's the best woo you're gonna get. I'm not doing it. There's too many people in the house. I'm not screaming at the top of my lungs doing no woo right now. Anyway, back. Oh my God. Our backstage is finally up. I don't remember what it was before, but it definitely was not 59%, and I think it finally shows. So backstage is definitely moving up. Ignore these. This is just kind of some notes to myself. And we also had an incident backstage as our North American champion, Sir Steven Regal, missed the pre-show meeting that he was scheduled for. He claimed that he forgot. We haven't really had many problems with Regal in the past. So I gave him a stern warning telling him, hey, don't let it happen again. And nothing happened out of it. So hopefully it doesn't happen again and nothing does happen. But if he does show up to another meeting late, he's going to get fined just like everybody else. Don't waste my time or you get fined. Shane McMahon improvised well throughout the segment. Good old Shane McMahon. Mr. Perfect. Good for you. Worked the crowd well here, using his freedom to improvise to his advantage. I like to imagine that, line with Booker T saying him and I share a love for rap was his moment of improvising there. Mr. Perfect getting better at his gimmick. Mr. Perfect killed it in this segment. Scott Steiner getting a Getting a gimmick that's stale? We can't have that. We can't have that. Scott Steiner? No way. Scott Steiner. We talking about the same guy? I'll have to check out his gimmick, maybe tweak it. I can't imagine changing Scott Steiner's gimmick. Rick Steiner's getting better at his gimmick too. Okay. Damn, everyone's doing well except for Stevie Ray, but we'll get to that. Sting improvised well. All right. There's a lot of old men in this segment. Stevie Ray, though, he was weak, as we just announced. Deserved better announcing. Come on, Stevie, you're holding us back. Show got off to a strong start. Crowd was hot. Mr. Perfect underperformed. How are you going to say he improvised well, getting better at his gimmick, but he underperformed? You don't make sense sometimes, game. Gained heat for the storyline. All in all, hell of a way to start off the show. Hell of a way to start off the show. That leads us into our next match with the stipulation that if Perfect wins, he gets a match against Ric Flair, and if Sting wins, Ric Flair gets a match with Shane McMahon. Unfortunately for Sting and Ric Flair, that did not happen because in a decent matchup here, Mr. Perfect pulls out the victory over Sting with the Henningplex. After 8 minutes and 8 seconds, pins him with the Henningplex. Of course, a little bit of a distraction from Shane McMahon here. I don't think Ric Flair was at ringside. No, it doesn't look like. It looks like maybe, I'd imagine they, everyone evacuated. Shane McMahon maybe joined commentary because he is, the owner of Nitro, so he can do whatever the hell he wants. And he got involved. What can you say? Obvious finish is obvious, but what can you say? It works. Shane McMahon distracts Sting. Maybe Sting has the Scorpion Deathlock. Excuse me. He has the Scorpion Deathlock locked in. Shane McMahon steps up, and he's talking to the ref or something. Sting gets off and maybe whacks him, gives him a good punch right in the face. Unfortunately for Sting, he turns around, gets hit with the perfect plex, and as we all know, once you get hit with the perfect plex, you're not kicking out. Shane McMahon did some good at work ringside as well. Of course. We gotta. Apparently Shane McMahon's not a heel, so I've got to turn him heel, but we'll turn him heel eventually. I got to build it up. I'm not going to do it as a surprise and ruin it. Mr. Perfect had an in-ring performance of a 66. Why did my voice get? Am I going through puberty? 66. Sting had a 76, 10 points above Mr. Perfect. This did lose heat for the storyline. 76 B- for the match overall. No worker improvements. Let me look at the dirt sheet here. I want to see something about Mr. Perfect's got some good momentum. Oh boy, soft drugs, of course. Decline. Oh, Mr. Perfect's declining. I know Sting is too, so that's what. Cap for short match length. Well, I did see they're declining. I didn't want them to go too long. Anyway, no, we're gonna keep moving here. 75 B- rating to follow it up as Shane McMahon pushes the referee out of the ring while Mr. Perfect now locks in the figure 4 leg lock on Sting to mock Ric Flair while Shane McMahon just stomps down on the Stinger. And it's not too long before the Nature Boy comes to the aid of Sting, looking to get his hands on Shane McMahon. But unfortunately, Shane is able to escape Ric Flair, and Mr. Perfect and the Nature Boy now begin to exchange blows in the middle of the ring, with Ric Flair eventually backing Mr. Perfect up with chops to the chest, leading Perfect to sliding out of the ring and escaping with Shane McMahon telling Ric Flair, "I'll see you Sunday." So there we have that. In hindsight, I kind of think I should have had a Ric Flair Sting promo later on in the show. I did not do that. At least I don't think I did. I don't remember booking that. I should have. But I didn't. So that's a missed opportunity. We'll follow that up on the Super Show maybe. 78 solid B rating as we get a hype segment announcing that tonight Rick and Scott Steiner, the Steiner brothers, take on the makeshift tag team of The Rock and Diamond Dallas Page, the People's Champions. I should have made this a minor angle. Damn it. Either way, hyping up our main event of the night. We then go to a solid 80 rated segment here as backstage The Rock and DDP are getting ready for their tag team match back in the locker room. And Rock looks at DDP and he says, "You ready for tonight, champ?" "As ready as I'll ever be." "You ready for Sunday?" "You bet your diamond dollar ass The Rock's ready for Sunday. Don't you go getting cocky, though." We got to get through those talking tumors tonight. And I may rag on them, but I think we both know them boys mean business. They may mean business, but so do we. We're the dream team, the people's champions. And tonight, Scott Steiner's going to find out why it was a mistake getting involved in my match and taking me for granted. But first, I'll have to get through you. But that's Sunday. Yeah, we'll find out at Starrcade. But what do I know? Oh, excuse me. Yeah, we'll find out at Starway. But what I do know is that tonight, the Dream Team puts the smackdown on the Steiners tonight. And then Sunday, I gotta pull out my handy-dandy notepad. Come on, damn it. How long was this first segment? Oh, there it is. Oh, wait, whoa. Okay. Oh, maybe. But then Sunday. That was the end of it. That was the shittiest Rock promo ever. Completely my fault because I just was stuttering over my words. You could tell I wrote this angle a couple days before. Sorry, I had to take a drink. A couple days before I finished booking the show. But then Sunday. And then maybe they have a nice little stare down like, Sunday, Rock versus DDP, it's happening. Moving on, we have a 65 solid C rating. Cruiserweight action is up next. Oh boy, I'm going to get copyrighted because my little brother's walking by playing music. And about that had decent wrestling, but little heat to it. Jamie Noble, Dean Malenko, and Jerry Lynn defeat the team of Rey Mysterio, Billy Kidman, and Grandmaster Sexay in six-man tag team action in 9 minutes 43 seconds after Jamie Noble defeated Grandmaster Sexay by pinfall with a distraction from Nydia. Color commentary helped this match out. Jamie Noble had an in-ring performance of a 55. Jerry Lynn with a 50. Dean Malenko with a 67. Grandmaster Sexy with a 57. Billy Kidman with a 64. And Rey Mysterio with a 65. So Dean Malenko actually the best performer in this matchup. This gained heat for all the storylines, the serious change to the Cruiserweight division, and the Noble versus... I gotta change that. His name's not Brian Christopher anymore. It's back to Grandmaster Sexay because I'm indecisive. Anyway, this is a follow-up from last week, if you remember. I believe it was Dean... Was it Dean Malenko versus Grant? Or I forget what it was. Either way, there was a segment in which... pretty much led to the return of Rey Mysterio or something. I don't remember everything. I'm drawing a blank. I think it was Dean Malenko versus Grandmaster Sexay. Jamie Noble came out, and that led to like the distraction. And then they were beaten down on Sexay or something, and that's when Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio came out. Something like that. Or I don't really remember. That's what I think it was. Anyway, that's a follow-up from last week's segment to lead to this six-man tag match of all these cruiserweights teaming with each other. Anyway... Billy Kidman is improving in his rumble skills, and Jerry Lynn improving in his flying skills. So we have some improvements here tonight. Who is... No one's turning, are they? I'll have to check that later. 82 solid B rating here as we're now backstage in Shane McMahon's office. And Scott Steiner, Rick Steiner are there, and Scott says... We're kind of getting in the middle of a conversation here. And you sure Booker ain't here? Scott, if he's here, then I don't know about it. I haven't heard from him since what you did last week. I'll tell you what I'd tell Book if he was here. Get over it. It was an accident. But what happened, happened. Time to move on. But if he gets involved in my match tonight or this Sunday, I'm breaking his back. That's when the Steiners storm out of Shane McMahon's office as Chavo Guerrero shows up. Shane, excited to see Chavo. Chavo, how's your uncle? It's not good, Mr. McMahon. The doctor said his back is in bad shape. Damn it. Well, I guess we'll have to figure out something for Sunday if he's not ready. Let me take his place. I'm sorry? Let me step in place of my uncle. He'd want a Guerrero to step in and take his spot over anyone else. Well, Chavo, while your uncle may want that, I just can't give you a potential world title match. You have to earn it. But I'll tell you what, I'll give you a chance to earn it. Let me just pull out my handy-dandy notepad here because I got some notes. I'm going to give you a chance to earn your uncle's spot in the tournament. You just got to beat the same man Eddie beat to get in this spot in the tournament. Oh, you're talking about the Giant, aren't you? Sadly. But Chavo, you got to go into this with determination. You're a warrior, and don't forget that. Don't forget all the times the Giant has treated you like an ant. And don't you damn forget what he did to your uncle last week. Tonight, all that's standing between you and a chance to be the world champion is a 7-foot-tall brick wall. Can you break through it? You're damn right I can. Thanks, Mr. McMahon. And then Chavo leaves. Shane takes a big sigh, exhale. Giant's gonna kill that kid. And looks like Eddie Guerrero's out, but Chavo Guerrero has a chance to get in. He's just gonna beat Giant, and I don't think that's gonna happen. Shane McMahon improvised well throughout the segment here. Scott Steiner apparently struggled when going off script. Couldn't get his words out. He was, and let me tell you. And Chavo Guerrero did a masterful job improvising here, so good for Chavo. Chavo doing really well. Also, getting better at his gimmick. Chavo made the most of this appearance here tonight. Gained feet for the Giant Eddie Guerrero storyline. No worker improvements, though. We then move on to a 53 C- rating here as Mean Gene is backstage with the 3 men who just won the Cruiserweight 6-man match. Alright, I'm backstage right now with Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn, and Jamie Noble, who are all coming off a victory in 6-man tag team action. That's when Jamie Noble grabs the mic from Mean Gene. You see me out there, Mean Gene? I pinned that pretty boy Grandmaster Sexy. 1, 2, 3. Did you see me do that, baby? Then Malenko quickly steps in. Shut up. Listen, Mean Gene. I've made my intentions clear for weeks now. And tonight, I gave you all a preview of what will happen when that masked gymnast steps in the ring with a wrestling machine like myself. And when Sunday comes around, not only will I ground Little Ray Ray by snapping him in half with a Texas cloverleaf, but I'll be walking out as the new face of the Cruiserweight division, and a serious change will be in order. That's when they all kind of walk off, and Mean Gene says, back to you guys. Lost some heat for the storyline. That's unfortunate, but what can you do? Dean Malenko's never been a good speaker. All right, then. Next, we see Sir Steven Regal, the North American champion, making his way towards the, I guess, ringside or whatever. Not towards ringside, but he's walking backstage as next we have Regal's Round Table, which will feature Edge, Lance Storm, and Goldust. We are now back from our commercial break, and it is now time for Regal's Round Table. The ring is set up very fancy-like with a red rug, velvet ropes, knight's armor in the corners, and with a custom flag hung down. Out comes the North American champion. I'd like to imagine maybe the North American, all the North American, like the Mexico, the Canadian. I'm trying to figure out how I would say that. The Mexico, the Canadian, and the American flag are behind Regal. Maybe even the British flag as well, because, well, he's British. He's the North American champion, so he should represent all of North America. Anyway, out comes Sir Steven Regal. He takes his seat at the round table before taking to the mic, and he clears his throat. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the round table. Now tonight, I've set this all up because there's been quite some confusion concerning the North American Championship and its #1 contender. Now, 3 men have been vying for the opportunity at my North American Championship, so it's at this time that I invite these 3 men down to the ring so we can discuss who the rightful contender is. So at this time, gentlemen, and that's when we have some fancy royal music. They don't get to come out to their own music. There's 3 of them. They come out all together. Royal music plays, and out comes the guest of the first ever edition of the Regal's Round Table, Edge and Goldust, who kind of they come out kind of together, they're friends. And kind of far behind them is the rival of Edge and, well, the man who believes he is the champion of Canada, Lance Storm. Not too far behind, they all join Sir Steven Regal in the ring, and they take their seats. Or, well, not exactly yet. Regal, of course, first says, "Please, take a seat." And that's, of course, when they all take their seats at the round table. "Now, gentlemen, I'm sure you all have heard why I've called you out here, so I'll be the first to speak. And I quite honestly don't think any of you deserve a title shot. Let me just pull up the handy-dandy notepad here, and I'll explain why my thoughts are the way they are." Oh, okay, I was like, where the hell is this spot? "You see, Sir Lance, you lost your match at WrestleMania, and since then you've tried buddying up to me and hoping that I just gift you a title shot, and while I'm flattered, that's not how you earn a shot at the prestigious North American Championship. Edge, not only do you act like a juvenile delinquent, but I've already beaten you, and I see no reason why I need to beat you again. And then there's you, Goldust. And, well, you just haven't done enough. I mean, you just made your re-debut, so that's quite understandable. But maybe next time. I think I've said enough, and I hope you all understand. Thank you for your time, gentlemen." That's when Sir Steven Regal gets up to leave, but Edge cuts him off, and he says, "Hold on, Sunshine. Sit back down. You may have beaten me for the title, but you and I both know it took some well-hidden brass knucks to get the job done. And let's not forget, I'm still owed my rematch. How dare you accuse me of cheating? How dare you?" And that's when Lance Storm steps up, "And how dare you accuse me of buddying up to you for a title shot? Let's make one thing clear, Regal. We're not friends, and I'm not kissing anyone's ass to get a title shot. Everyone knows that I'm the true North American champion. So it's only a matter of time the title comes back to the North. Sir Lance, you wound me. I'm sure you have something to say as well, you golden buffoon. So come on out with it." "Mr. Regal, you ask me why I have eyes for your North American title? It's simple. I like gold." That's when Goldust runs his hands up his chest before catching Regal with a stiff punch right to the jaw. I'd like to imagine when he stood up and he said it's simple, he kind of got up and he walked towards the title and he was looking at it. He said, "I like gold." And that's when he catches him with that stiff punch to the jaw, leading to a four-man brawl, predictably, until, of course, that leads to the general manager, Ric Flair, making his entrance. And he says, "Woo! Now that's the kind of action Nitro needs. I may not be general manager for much longer, and if I'm going to go out, then I'm going out booking one hell of a match. Sir Regal, you've talked me into it. This Sunday at Starrcade, you'll defend that North American Championship against Edge, Lance Storm, and Goldust in a fatal four-way match." And, of course, I'd imagine, Regal none too happy with that news, but there you have it. It is officially announced, our North American Championship match. Stevie Ray was pretty weak, unfortunately. Stevie Ray, shut up. It's a segment anyway. You shouldn't really be talking. This angle did get the crowd hotter. Edge looked good, and it gained heat for the North American Championship title match. Good stuff. Moving on, we have a 79 solid B rating, as Vitamin C are making a beeline to the ring. They're just kind of, walking backstage. This is kind of the before the commercial break segment, whatnot. We then go to the ring. 79 solid B, back from our commercial break. Godly. That monster's hitting me now. Vitamin C's music hits, and out comes the former World Tag Team Champions, who waste no time getting to the ring. Jericho screams, "Give me a mic!" Now, how is it that Sunday is just days away and management have not approved Christian and I's rematch for the World Tag Team Championships? It has been weeks since we put in our match request, and despite our generosity in giving Boy George and Chris Farley their rematch early on free TV, we're told to wait until Starrcade, while no-name teams like Edge and Goldust get title shots before us. Well, Christian and I aren't leaving this ring until we are given our rightful rematch for the World Tag Team Championships. So Shane, Rick, stop your battle for power and do your actual jobs. And that's when I imagine they pout, both sit crisscross applesauce in the middle of the ring. Look, I even wrote it down. And they're just sitting there. We're not moving, yelling at the security or whoever who trying to, like, come on, guys, get out of the ring. And that's when they are met with the arrival of Head Chop? Oh, all right then. Jericho rightfully says, "What in the hell are you two ass clowns doing out here? Last I checked, Shane McMahon isn't Asian and Ric Flair wishes he was that young." When Al Snow steps up, "Well, Chris, I think it's safe to say you don't need to have your eyes checked, because Fu and I are not in charge of Nitro. And what a relief that is. Could you imagine what a train wreck that would be? You know what? I don't know. I think Fu has plenty of great ideas. But that's not why we're out here. Because while you two may be owed a rematch clause, Fu and I are tired of waiting in the back along with the rest of the tag team division. This isn't the Vitamin C division." "Well, that's where you're wrong, boys. There is no tag team division. This is the Vitamin C division. There isn't a team who could lace our boots. Not Edge and Goldust, not Canyon and Hugh Morris, and certainly not Al Snow and freaking Funaki." Why don't you put your mouth where your money is?" "It's put your money where your mouth is, you idiot." "Hey, don't you talk to my friend that way. Fu makes a great point. You two love to talk. But if this is really the Vitamin C division, then why don't you prove it? Or you two could just shut the hell up and stop writing checks your ass can't cash." "You can't talk to us that way. You know what, Junior? We'll make you eat those words. You want to step up to the uncrowned champs? Well, step up to us and you get your head chopped." You see what I did there? You see what I did there, Christian? Good one, Chris. Thanks, Chris. "Hey, why are you two laughing?" "'Cause when we win, we will be #1 contenders. Ah, ha, 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 ha." And that'll lead to the impromptu, I guess, #1 contenders match between Head Chop and Vitamin C. Christian getting better at his gimmick here. Chris Jericho was a real star. Funaki performed poorly. I'd like to imagine that's maybe because he doesn't have a lot of popularity, because I believe Chris Jericho himself was the one he wanted to hear more from Funaki. So this is kind of my answer to them saying, hey, I'd like to hear Funaki talk more. It did gain heat, surprisingly, for the storyline, so you can't. And Funaki's improving. He is #1. He was #1. Anyway, moving on. Oh, wow. Holy shit, this was a good match. Solid 80B rating here. And about that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Vitamin C do what we all figured they would do. They beat Head Chop, but it was a back and forth match, I'd imagine here. 10 minutes and 3 seconds it took him. Chris Jericho gets the pin over Al Snow. And Vitamin C, it wasn't really a #1 contendership match, but I guess if Head Chop did win, it's like, well, I guess maybe we should look at them. They did just beat the people who are the #1 contenders, but Vitamin C still holding on to the #1 contendership, I suppose. Jericho and Christian, of course, have their excellent chemistry teaming with each other. Stevie Ray, pretty weak at the announce table. Come on, Stevie, you need to step it up. Christian with a 96. Golly, these guys are killing it. Jericho with a 99. Funaki with a 54. Al Snow with a 64. And Chris Jericho is still improving. How, Jim? How? I don't know. Jericho's a star. That's all I can say. 79 solid B rating to follow it up. Vitamin C are victorious, but as they are celebrating, Christian cannot help but notice that Funaki is checking on his fallen partner, Al Snow, and after bringing it to Jericho's attention, the two decide that they are not done with Head Chop and further put the beatdown on Funaki and Al Snow here. Jericho locks Funaki in the walls of Jericho, and Christian just keeps stomping down on top of Al Snow here until that leads to the World Tag Team Champions, Kanyon and Hugh Morris, making their way down the rampway to save Head Chop from Vitamin C. Vitamin C, of course, bolt from the ring before the Tag Team Champions can get their hands on them. And as Kanyon and Morris check on Head Chop, Jericho takes to the mic. That's right. Take it all in, champs. Look at how Al Snow screams in agony from the beatdown Christian put on him. And look at Funaki. He may never be able to walk again. How long did I have him in the walls? You two should have been faster. I'll tell you what can't come fast enough, Chris. What's that, Chris? Starcade. That's right. Look at it this way. This is what happened. Oh, wrong one. This is what happens when you disrespect the world's best tag team. And when you talk about disrespect, there's no team who's disrespected Y2J, Chris Jericho, and his best friend, Captain Charisma Christian, more than you two ass clowns. Which is why this Sunday, when the world is watching, we're going to make an even bigger example out of you two. Oh, would you please shut the hell up? This Sunday, the only thing you two are going to do is get your ass kicked. You've mocked Hugh and I. You've mocked the entire Nitro Tag Team division. And you know what? I'll say it just because I know it'll piss you off. This isn't your division. This is our division. While people like you two jackasses look at Hugh and I as jokes, we're too busy delivering the punchline and making you two look like fools when we beat you this Sunday. And Jericho, I can imagine just kind of being shut up by that, be like, okay. And it's kind of ending the promo there, but Kanyon kind of putting him into place, telling him, shut the hell up. I'm tired of the talk. You think we're jokes. This Sunday, we're going to prove to you you shouldn't have looked down on us. That was your first mistake. Anyway, nothing going on here. No worker improvements. 78 solid B rating here as we're now backstage with Mean Gene again. Well, with the news that Eddie Guerrero is out for this Sunday, tonight we will find out who will take Latino Heat's spot in this Sunday's tournament. Will it be his nephew, Chavo Guerrero Jr., or will it be the man who is joining me at this time, the man who took out Eddie Guerrero, the Giant? Giant, got anything to say to Chavo tonight? And as Mean Gene holds the mic up to the Giant, he is met with silence, and the Giant just kind of stares down at him, kind of angrily, before moving on. And a few words. Back to you, Dusty. Alright, moving on, we got a 72 B-. Our final qualifier match, you could say, since Eddie Guerrero has been taken out. A decent matchup here. The Giant goes over Chavo Guerrero in a, well, Chavo gave it his all, but only about 6 minutes it took Giant to get the win here, but at the end of the day, Chavo was a very small man, and the Giant is a very big man. And once the Giant gets his hands on your throat and hits you with that choke slam, I think you're done. Giant had an in-ring performance of an 80. Chavo Guerrero with a 60. That did lose heat for the storyline, unfortunately, but what can you do? Moving on, we have an 86 B+ rating here as Mean Gene Okerlund is now backstage with the Steiner brothers. Well, with that win, we now know the final entrant in the World Title Tournament. Joining me at this time are the Steiners, Scott and Rick. Scott, what's your reaction now that you know you're facing the Giant this Sunday and not Eddie Guerrero? I'm not happy about it, Mean Gene, and I think I'm going to have a talk with Mr. McMahon about this. I don't want to fight Giant. He's a friend, but if I have to fight Giant, then it's nothing personal. I'll put his big ass down, too. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. I'm a genetic specimen. There's not a man in this tournament that can beat me. Well, what about Dallas Page or The Rock? Man, if you think for 1 second that Page and his squeaky knees stand a chance against me, then you don't know how to count. And as for The Rock, he's all talk, no bite. He's like a Shih Tzu, and I'm a pit bull. Put us in the ring, the results are obvious, Mean Gene. In fact, keep your eyes on the screen, because I'm going to do exactly exactly that to both of them. I don't think that's the final. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that's the final promo. Anyway, Mean Gene underperformed. Good to know Scott Steiner didn't underperform. The match, I believe, is up next. This is kind of where I would have put that Ric Flair promo I was talking about earlier. Maybe the last Flair promo on Mr. Perfect saying, you think you can chase me out again, blah, blah. Just a passionate Flair promo. But like I said, we'll have to wait for the Sunday Night Heat Super Show for that now. All right. So a 76 B- rating as The Rock and Diamond Dallas Page are now making their way down to the ring, and Rock and DDP versus the Steiners is next. So we have our main event of the night. Gets a solid 80B rating here. That's unfortunate. You would hope for a little bit of a higher rating, but what can you do? Still, an bout that had superb wrestling and great heat to it. The Rock and Diamond Dallas Page pull out the victory, get the win over the Steiner brothers in 13 minutes, 3 seconds after The Rock defeats Rick Steiner with a rock bottom after Booker T provides a distraction from Scott Steiner. So the way I'd like to imagine it is Booker T comes running through the crowd, and Scott Steiner is distracted, of course, by Booker T, warning him not to get involved in the match. Maybe he doesn't come running through the crowd yet, but he comes into the crowd, reveals he has a ticket or something or whatnot, and sits down in the front row, and Steiner's kind of yelling at him, you better not get involved in my match, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately for Scott Steiner, he's too distracted by Booker T, and the double team from Rock and Diamond Dallas Page is too much for Rick Steiner, and a rock bottom puts him down and gives the People's Champions their first victory as a team. Scott and Rick Steiner, of course, have great chemistry when teaming with each other, as they should. Not enough selling shown in this match. That's unfortunate. Stevie Ray still weak. You need to step it up. Rick Steiner with an 83. Scott Steiner with a freaking 97. Holy hell. Diamond Dallas Page with a 77 in-ring performance, and The Rock with a 100. Can you blame him? He's The Rock. Worker improvements, there are none. We go to our next segment to end off the show, which gets a 94 solid A. Hell yes! We're back, baby. The match is over, and Scott Steiner is livid. He's screaming at Booker T. He even spat at him, and of course, Booker T does not like to be spit on. Who does? And he doesn't back down. It seems like these two are about to fight. Maybe even they do come to blows. But they are separated pretty quickly by Rick Steiner and Mr. Perfect, because Shane McMahon and Mr. Perfect make their way down to the ring quick. This situation looks like it's about to explode. Shane McMahon is just trying to make sense of what's happening. He's questioning Booker. Come on, Book, what are you doing? He's trying to keep Scott calm. Come on, Scott, this is not the time. This is what they want. Scott Steiner, it doesn't work. He should be in the ring. So maybe he tried to save the match, right? Like he tried to get in the ring before the 3 count, and now Booker T has jumped the barricade, and they're kind of screaming at each other, and he's still in the ring and whatnot. There we go. That works. Anyway, all this chaos is going on. Meanwhile, you see The Rock and DDP, they're kind of sitting, and they're waiting. They're just waiting for the Steiners to turn around, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. And as Page hits Scott Steiner with a diamond cutter out of nowhere, The Rock puts Rick Steiner down with another rock bottom and kicking him out of the ring before seeing Scott Steiner set perfectly in position for the most electrifying move in sports entertainment. Page keeps watch, making sure Mr. Perfect or Shane McMahon don't get in the ring. Of course, Rick Steiner's down right now. And Booker T, he's like, I ain't going to save Scott Steiner. Screw that dude. Booker T walks off. He's like, I ain't dealing with this. All the while, The Rock lands a people's elbow on Big Papa Punt. Big Papa Punt. Shane waves for someone out to come out from the back, and out comes the Giant, the final member in this tournament. He makes his way to the ring, and despite the double team efforts of both The Rock and Diamond Dallas Page, and I imagine, they definitely had the Giant on his backing up for a few there. The Giant, though, is too strong, too big. He's able to fight them both off. Mind you, Rock and DDP were just in a match as well, so they're exhausted. And he finishes them off with a double choke slam, ending the show standing tall over all 3 semifinalists. So you've got Rock, Diamond Dallas Page, and Scott Steiner all just laying there while the Giant is standing over them, waving his hands tall because, well, he looks like he's the favorite after tonight. Don't save this. 94 solid A. You love to see it. Stevie Ray still weak. Booker T came across well. Rock was a real star. Giant was good. Gained heat for everything all around. You love to see it. You love to end the show that way. What did we get? An 86 B+ rating. I'll take it. I was hoping for an A, but we got a B+. That's right below an A, so it's good. Increased our popularity in one region. We're increasing pop again. You love to see it. You love to see it. In hindsight, the drug test was not worth it. I'll say it. I'm never doing it again. But it did not last as long as I thought it was going to last. Just going to say. Anyway. So let's go ahead and look at some things before we end off this episode here tonight. Nitro got fantastic reviews. And you know what? I'm going to look at this show because, remember, this is the company that Dixie Carter has taken over. And, oops, that's not what I wanted to look at. And when did she take over? Dixie Carter took over in May of 2002. So let's look at their history. Have they had any shows since? So they have had some shows since then. But I don't know when exactly she took over. Let's go back and look at the history. I didn't look at the week. Golly, I keep clicking business. News archive. Dixie Carter becomes CEO. Week 2. So that was when she officially took over. Week 2 of, so this was her first show. And this is like her first pay-per-view. So let's go ahead and let's look at the first kind of like main show for WWC Insanity Plea 2. Pretty good show, it said. So 44 solid D rating for the show. They sold out their arena. That's good stuff. They opened it up with a 26 solid E rating with Johnny Gunn going over Tony Tessoy. I don't know how to pronounce that. Then we have a 33 E+ rating as Eric Perez defeated Eddie Colon to become the new WWC Top Contender Champion. We then have a backstage angle, or excuse me, not a backstage angle, but a hype video involving Akiti Malumba. That's not Akiti Malumba. Who's Akiti Malumba? That has to be Akiti Malumba. I don't know who is who. There's no Akiti Malumba, so I'm assuming it's him. Rico Suave. That's not Rico Suave. That's Ray Gonzalez. Rico Suave. That's Dynamite. Okay. And Julio Estrada. Yeah, none of these names matter. Okay. Thank you. There you go. We then go to a 43 solid D rating as Jesus. Somebody won. The team with Ray Gonzalez won. So whoever he was teaming with, I think that's Black Boy. Defeated these guys. That's my assumption. I don't know. We have a 50 D+ pre-match interview with Perez Jr. We then have a 35 E+ rating as Thunder defeats Perez Jr. to retain the WWC Nationwide Championship. 28 solid E rating as Lightning defeated Jimmy Rave. And then we have a go back. Then we have a pre-match interview with Carlos Colon before we have our main event, which got a 44 solid D rating as Carlos Colon defeated El Nene to retain the WWC Universal Heavyweight Championship. So it's an okay championship. Looks like Ray Gonzalez, the only one I knew in that tag team match, looks like he's the one who freaking won. We know about Eric Perez. Apparently Chad Coiler, I believe. Aren't you in our Yeah, I was going to say, you're in our developmental territory. He's a hot property. Maybe we should call him up. So is Water Anu. I'm pretty sure he ended up becoming a pretty big thing. And Benoit, despite being suspended, is still considered the best technical wrestler right now. Okay. Scott Steiner says, Billy Kidman doesn't connect with the fans. You should probably write the kid off. He sucks! All right. Let's check out some more things before we end this off. Apparently, Deborah has some minor morale. Oh no, Deborah. Ooh. Let's go ahead and look at some of our storylines here. Ooh, wow.